Good morning folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's well, and welcome to another episode in the series How to Make a Very Strong, Cheap Fence Using Decking Boards. So in the previous episode then, we measured up, cut the boards to size and applied 2 coats of an appropriate stain. And the reason for doing this beforehand was to prevent us trashing the concrete posts with black paint. Now, to complete this job then, we'll be using 65mm screws, an impact driver, although you can use a combi drill or indeed anything used for screwing into boards, and also a small block of wood which is about 18mm thick, which I'll be using as a spacer. Now, regarding the screws then, so they're 65mm long and probably about as long as you want to go with something like this. Now the decking boards are 28mm thick, the timbers which I'll be securing them to are 50mm or thereabouts. That gives us about 78mm. So if the screws are 65mm, it means that they, screw into virtually all of the wood, and also it gives us the opportunity to countersink the heads without the ends of the screws coming through the other side. So here you can see that I've clamped the first board into place, I've made sure it's completely level, and now I'll be fixing each end with 1 screw and then adding 2 more screws each end. So basically each board will be fixed with 3 screws each end, giving 6 in total. Now you may be wondering why I've actually decided to start at the top, and you might be wondering whether it may have been actually easier to start from the bottom and work my way up. And my answer to that is quite simply no. Now it's important to stress that I'm not a professional joiner, and whilst I've tried to be as careful as possible setting out the posts and the timbers, I know for a fact they're not going to be perfectly aligned. So therefore, if I have to slightly adjust the spacing between the boards just to get the right presentation, it's going to be less visible if I have to make the adjustment at the bottom rather than the top. Anyway, I mean, it is a very individual thing. I've just decided to do it this way. If you choose to do a project like this, you might decide to do it from the bottom and work your way up, but at least I've given the reasoning for that. Don't go in front of the camera, my friend. There's a good lad. So I'm doing some filming, okay, little buddy?
Okay.
Anyway, about my Lamborghini, where is it?
It's coming.
Hey?
It's coming when you're 58.
When I'm 58?
How old are you?
How old am I? Oh, that's not the sort of thing you ask somebody, is it, eh? Hey, don't you touch that.
I'm not just watching it.
Good.
What's that called?
What's that? What's what called?
They put wood in the wood.
This here or this?
The white wood.
Oh, that's just a spacer, so I'll get the same distance between all of the boards, mate.
Okay.
That's all it is, buddy.
Come on, Mia, let's go around the other side.
See you later.
See you later.
Now you will notice that I'm actually using clamps to help me with these boards, and the reason for that is the fact that whilst my son helped me out with most of this project, he wasn't there all of the time. I mean, I worked full time and I went back and continued doing bits of this during the evening, and basically sometimes when you're in a situation where you don't have that extra pair of hands to help you, you need to improvise. And I decided to use some adjustable clamps which I used to rest the boards on while I positioned these and secured them, and this worked out absolutely brilliantly as opposed to clamping the boards in place and then struggling to adjust them before I screw them in. The ultimate way of doing this would of course be to have 2 people, 2 spacers, 2 drills, and to complete this part of the project probably in about 1/10 of the time.
Mister,
Hello.
after you did the video, can you put my seat up on my handlebars?
I think you need to go and have a chat with your mum or dad at your minute, because I'm going to be busy for a short while, little fella.
No, Nana won't do it, Mum or Dad won't do it.
Why?
Because they don't have the tools for it.
Oh dear.
Now you will notice that the span between the two front sections was quite long, and because of this I decided to put a support in the middle by attaching a brace. And the reason I did this was to prevent the board sagging in the middle and possibly warping over time. So the brace which I'm going to put in the middle then is basically a piece of 2x3 which I've used in other parts of the project, and so not only will this support the panels, it will maintain the spacing and also add considerable strength to them. And to support the 2x3 timbers, I went for a product purchased from Toolstation which is perfect for the job. Now they describe it as being a concrete in sleeper stroke base anchor bracket. They cost just under £4 a piece and they're absolutely perfect for an application like this. I think the other thing to mention is the fact that you don't actually need to concrete these in. If you want to, you can just pound them into the ground. It's going to be quicker and it's going to be cheaper. The other thing you notice is the fact that these brackets, they're actually a dark brown and not a black. So we decided to scuff them up a bit to give a good key and then spray them over using some Hammerite metal black paint. And these looked absolutely spot on when they were finished.
Was that alright? Was that a bit too rough? I did it pretty light as well, I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay. Just do it thoroughly, Jan. It'll be fine.
Right guys, so here we're identifying and marking the centre point of the panel in order to make sure that the timber support goes bang in the middle. And we're going to secure this using 3 screws on each decking board, and we'll be screwing through the decking board into the timber support just to make sure that it has maximum strength, and also the screw head will pull the decking boards into the timber to keep everything nice and level. Okay then, so here we're just making a hole for the supports. We've just attached a piece of spare wood to the steel support, just whacked it a few times in order to get the hole. And as you can see here, this is the principle of how it's going to work. So the steel support goes in the hole, the timber support rests on top of the steel bit, and the lip goes underneath the bottom decking board. So here then we're just basically attaching it with 2 screws, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then we're going to make sure that the spacing is correct between the boards and then fix them together with 3 screws per panel.
still this one.
Okay folks, so we're coming to the end of this episode then. I appreciate you joining me. In the next episode we'll be constructing the gate, so I hope you'll join me for that. And the episode after that basically we'll be discussing any lessons learned from this project. I'll be answering any questions and also tell you how much this project cost, and I'll also give you a breakdown of the costs. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.